Hi everyone, and welcome back to Rach and Fee Unplugged. And I hope you enjoyed our first session in this. I suppose it's a mini workshop, really, Fee, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. A little mini workshop that people can just work through at their own leisure
Yeah.
and yeah, have it to keep.
Yeah. So the first module was the reflection. So if you haven't watched it already, go back and watch the episode which is on reflection, and it's the episode I put as number one anyway. But today we are talking about numerology, the numbers and the energy that they bring to everything that we do. So, this year, being 2024, is a numerology number 8. And seeing Fiona's the guru, she's always been my numerology guru. I'm going to pass it on over to Fiona. So, Fiona, what would you like to tell us today about the numerology and the energy?
Yeah, great. So we're coming into year number 8. So we're coming off the year number 7, which is it was a really receptive, more of an introspective, sort of intuitive energy. It was like about inner exploration. Perhaps maybe I guess when we do that inner work, I think you explained this beautifully with the last video, Rach, that when we do ask ourselves these questions, sometimes it can bring some things up for us. So that can be a little bit of the energy of the year number 7, where we go introspective. So some people may have experienced a little bit of a rock bottom in year number 7. It might not have been the easiest year for them. And I feel like talking to people, a lot of people felt that with that year number 7, as we sort of go through that period where we do need to shed and go inwards and learn about our internal side. So that was sort of more the energy of the number 7. And it's like the purging so that we can move forward into the next year. And then we're moving into the energy of the 8, which is all about personal achievement and empowerment, and impactful intellect. And like it's a really initiating life force. So it's like that go get them energy. It's a really dynamic energy, and it's where we can make big goals and take big action. So that's all going to be really well supported in 2024. And I feel like you felt the energy shift between the years. Did you experience that, Rach?
Oh, I totally experienced that. And even, moving up into this week, I felt a shift in energy as well. So it's been really interesting. Yeah, being aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to go through the years, and we will discuss some personal experiences as well, just so everyone can get like a bit of a taste of what, it's one thing to talk about things, but for me as an experiential learner, I really need to go, okay, well, what does that look like in practice? Like, what does that actually look like? It's great to have the theory, but how does that play out in someone's life? So we're going to have a bit of a chat about that. And you're right, right. I would guru maybe a stretch, but I absolutely love numerology. And I think, the more tools we have to help make life easier, the better.
Well, when I first heard about numerology from you, Fiona, I knew nothing about anything, and you just seemed like this bright beacon. You're like, you had all the answers, and I'm like, oh my God. So to me, you're always going to be my numerology guru.
Well, thanks, Rachie. I'll take that. And I think, sometimes whatever lights you up. And for
Yeah.
me, there's not always people to talk to about this sort of thing. So when someone's interested, it's like, let me tell you all about it. So I think you might have been that person for me. So we're going to go through the personal year energy. And how we work this out is when we look at our birth date, we look at so we all have a life path number. So that's when we add all our numbers of our birth date all together and we reduce it back to one number. That's the life path number. That doesn't change. That remains the same. So I'm a life path number 4 and Rach is a life path number 5. That's what we are. That's our biggest energy that we work with. So then each year we go through a 9-year cycle, starting at 1, and then we head all the way through to 9. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, to figure the personal year energy out, you add your month and the day you were born to the personal year that we're in. So for me, I would add the day I was born, 21, to the month 5, to the year 2024, and I come up with a personal year of 7. So for Rach, she is the 26th of the 3rd. So you add the 2 and the 6 and the 3 with 2024, and Rach comes up with a personal year of 1. So if anyone has any trouble with that, please DM me. I'm happy to help you out or clarify anything. Rach can do the same. But did that make sense, Rach? Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
So no, but so can we use yours because it's easy to count?
Yep.
So the 2-1, so the 21st, so together 2 + 1 is 3, and then your month, which is the May, which is the 5th, so 3 and 5 are 8. Okay. Yep. And then 2024 breaks down to an 8 number. So we have 8 + 8, okay, which equals 16. And then you have to bring it back down to a 1-digit number, which can be 1 through to 9, okay? So the 1 and the 6 together make a 7. And that's how Fiona got her year number 7 this year. So number 7.
Yeah. So now we're going to, I hope that makes sense. But as I said, happy to field any questions if that's confusing for people. We're going to go through a brief description of what every year looks like. In the first year, and what's really interesting is we spoke in the last video clip tutorial around reflecting on that energy. So if you're in a personal year number 1, which Rach is, last year she would have been in a 9. So she was completing that 9-year cycle. So for Rach to look back on her 9-year, when we go through that, she'll be like, oh, I really felt that energy. And then moving into the 1. So I'll just briefly tell you. So the year number 1 is all about new beginnings, opportunities, and independence. It's a time for rebirths and new beginnings. It's a sense of relief following the last 3-year cycle of deep transformation. So when we go through the 7, 8, and 9, there's a lot of shifting, changing. It's like a metamorphosis into the new. And then you come out in the year number 1 with your butterfly wings on. So it's about new opportunities. It's invigorating your internal and external worlds. And it's about you figuring out in this year what you truly want and to step into your role as a leader. Now, in saying that, Rach, what was your word for 2024?
Igniting or ignition.
So like, oh my gosh, that completely aligns with the energy of the year number 1.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yes, this year feels like it's open for possibilities, doing things differently, trying new things. So I really feel in that energy of the number 1. And reflecting on my last year, I had to do a lot of healing around things and it had been a long time. So for me, I understand how I had to do all that work last year so that I could move into this year of moving forward and doing things differently. So
newness and freshness. And Rach, do you feel that sense of relief, like it's like a lightness of energy moving into year number 1? Could you relate to that?
I don't know whether it was a lightness of energy. It was more about wanting to get going. Like I was like a horse in the getting ready to at a race. It was like just chomping at the bit and wanted to go. That's how it felt, because last year I didn't feel like I could get any real momentum with things.
Yeah, because it's that closing out energy. And you've been so consciously aware, you're like, I know the one's coming, but
I just want it to be here. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe 2023 is over.
Yeah. Okay, so then we move in, so we have this really big starting energy, like the horse out of the gates kind of energy of the 1, which is all about and it's a lot of self-discovery. It's in independence, learning about yourself. And then we move into our personal year number 2. So this energy can feel quite slow after the last year. It's a more steady year. It's focused on balance and partnership. So where the year number 1 was all about discovering about yourself on your own, this is more about discovering about yourself in partnerships. So this is building upon the foundation of the previous year. So Um, and it's a shift to find out about yourself in relationships. This year, energy will seek balance. So even if you're trying to still live like in the year number one energy, life is going to bring you back into check and bring you back into balance. And this can feel like a bit of a plateau, but it's important to know that there's a lot of integration happening this year as well. So it's a collaborative project. So this can be a really good year for relationships. It can be a great year to partner up with someone and do a business, or enter into a relationship or build on the relationship that you've got. So a lot about partnership and love.
A good year for getting married.
Yes. Yes. So 2 and 6 are the real relationships, the dualistic kind of numbers. And it's all about finding harmony and balance, and it's what is truly worth your energy. So this is about you figuring out, probably not sending your energy out everywhere. It's like, what's really worth my time and energy. So that's the year number 2. And then we move into the year number 3, which is, so we've gone from the 1, which is really initiating, to the 2, which is more of that steady balance. Let's bring it all into check. And then we move into another fast-paced year. And numerology is really interesting, Rach. If we all were doing this, we'd be exhausted. Growth doesn't happen like this. It happens like this. So we go from the 1 to the 2, back up to the 3.
So if we can really lean into the energies of what year we're in, we can, we know that, okay, this year we're meant to really be actioned and move forward and do. And then next year I'm going to try and give myself time to rest and maybe do the learnings, the prepping, all the behind the scene type of things in life per se, so that the following year is another go, 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 go. Is that that's sort of how it works?
Yes, absolutely. And when you tune into this energy, it makes so much sense. So then we move into the 3, which is a fast-paced year, which is focused on communication and creativity. It's very social. It's fun-loving energy. So this is like, I just think of the social butterfly when I think of the 3. It's highly creative. So the arts will be really well supported in this year. And just as a side note, my husband was in year number 3 last year. So after not playing guitar for 12 years, he's now out playing gigs. So this is the energy of the 3. It's like, okay, let's go. It's really well supported. The 3 is guiding you to what truly lights you up and brings you happiness. And yeah, it's just a really fun, easy, I don't know, just a great year 3. So, and then we move into the year number 4. So here we go. We've had the year number 1. We steady back to year number 2, and then we have this beautiful social year. And then we hit year number 4, which can feel like hard work after the year 3. But the year number 4 is really about laying the foundations for our life. It's about rolling your sleeves up. It's about doing the work. There's a lot of career, business, financial issues that will come up here. It calls you into question the foundations you have laid for your life and offers opportunities and breakthroughs. So yeah, as I said, this is really about rolling up your sleeve. There can be some career changes or business opportunities that present. So there's a lot of things that will present in this year, but you have to be prepared to do the work to get there.
Perfect. Okay.
And it could be moving home or building a house. Yeah, so it's looking about those foundations of work, home, relationship, and are those foundations are in balance. So for me, my year number 4, I had a big shift because for me, my foundations were not balanced. They were highly focused on work rather than the rest of my life. So life shook my foundations up to get them back in balance.
Perfect. It's easy to reflect on that now. At the time, it doesn't quite feel like that, does it?
No, at the time I was looking for the oxygen mask. But do you know, interesting, Rach, I was going for a walk with a friend last week, and she was talking about her New Year's, and I said, oh, what year are you in? And she said, oh, I'm not sure. So I'm like, okay, work it out. She's in year number 4. So I said to her, this is what it's going to feel like. Last year was this big social expansion, creative sort of year. And now you're moving into this really foundational year where you're going to have to put a little bit, you might seem a little bit more like drudgery. But you know what she said to me? She said, that's really funny you say that. She said, because my word for the year was discipline. And she said, that sounded really negative. So I changed it to commitment. because she knows she, energetically, even though she wasn't aware, she knew that this is the year that she needs to commit and put the work in. So
yeah, it's and you know what, we can give ourselves a little bit of grace if we know what energy we're actually in for the year, what we're working with on a personal note. So yeah, it's awesome. All right, let's move on to number 5.
So year number 5 is, oh my gosh, this is like the change year. So if you don't like change, like hold your horses. Like this is
hang on.
For me as a 4 who loves like steady, very systematic, the year number 5 can be quite uncomfortable. For someone like Rachel, is a personal 5, which is all about freedom and exploration and travel. It's can be quite a comfortable year. So it's a year of change and new experiences that test your relationship to freedom. It represents the free spirit, the nomad, and the traveler. So there can be a lot of travel in the year 5. Your ability to remain adaptable and flexible during this year will allow you to make the most of the 5 energy. So travel, exploring new things, it's a really empowering energy that makes you feel attractive and magnetic. So you could be attractive to the other or find yourself very attracted to people.
I feel like that all the time.
You just got that glow up, right? And you'll be shaken up, likely have a very different outlook on life. So for me, I entered the year number 5 like this and came out very battered, broken, but like with a completely different outlook on life. It's like, who was that person last year? Because this ain't it. It's completely different.
Yeah. So it chewed you up and spat you out, you think?
Yeah, but a better version. But in the middle of it, you're like in the washing machine going, holy shit, where's the escape button?
Yeah.
And then for me, but I don't think like you would find it very differently. Like this is just how I personally find the energy. And it's all individual, but it is it's like the swords card. It's like you have to release one set of beliefs and patterns to move through to the next. So it's a fun year in hindsight. Okay, and then we move into our year number 6, which is centered on love, relationships, healing, and magnetism. So after year number 5, you'll have likely gained a fresh perspective and direction on life and understanding of what freedom is to you. So for freedom to me, Rach, is like living an abundant, balanced life and being able to do things when I want to do things. To other people, freedom might look completely different. What does freedom look like to you?
Autonomy over every aspect of my life, work, play, family. I don't like to have anyone else have authority over that because it's my life. So that's what personal freedom is for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And that's like in your 5, life path 5, and also being an Aries, isn't it? Like it's like, okay, so your year 6 offers the opposite to the year number 5, and this is all about responsibility. But it's not a bad thing. So you may think you know what responsibility looks like, but this might change throughout the year. So this is quite a magnetic year, and luck is on your side. So quite a lucky magnetic side. And it's also a year to focus on your home and define what home means to you. It's a great year for love, relationships, marriages, but also it can be a year for divorce as well. So if could be new relationships, it's a great year. I think if getting married, year number 6 would be the year to get married in. But obviously if relationships aren't working or serving you, then this is the year that they may go as well. And then there's a responsibility of duty to your loved one. So it might mean that, you may have to take on some extra responsibility for an elder or a child, or that can come into play this year. It's an energy to heal and reassess relationships in your life. It's a balance between the inner and the outer world. So the 6 is quite a dualistic number. It's the 6 is the lovers in the tarot, which is all aspects of self. There can be incredible work opportunities in this year.
Perfect. All right, let's go to number 7, which is what we came out of last year.
Yeah, so this is the journey of spirituality. It's inward focus and it's not knowledge gathering. So it marks a 3-year transitional period, guiding you toward an improved sense of self, deep diving into the mental and physical house cleaning, laying the foundations for the new life you're creating, which will fully be realized in your year number 1. So, Rach, we talked about your deep transformation that's happened in the last previous 3 years to go into year number 1. So this is where it starts in year number 7, and this is the internal. This is connecting back to your spiritual side.
I'm just reflecting back. So would that be 2021 or 2020? Would have been
Would it be 2020?
Yeah. So that was sort of when COVID, and I did a lot of different things during that. So I opened up to my own spirituality, I suppose, even though I was studying hands. So, interesting.
So socializing may not be a priority this year. So you might find you want to recluse a little bit, but also too, it could be just spending time around your people more so.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, if you are quite extroverted, you might go, what's going on? I just feel like being on my own. But this is all this internal processing that we're doing. It can be an isolating year and calling you to go within. Some people write a book during this year, and it's a really great year to study new subjects. This is a year that will get you in touch with your spiritual self.
Beautiful.
So this is the year I'm in at the moment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got so many courses I want to do, and it's all about personal, like, reprogramming those belief systems, like working on my human design and gene keys, like all those courses that support this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move into the year number 8, which is the year of achievement, finances, and developing personal power. And this is the collective year that we're in.
Yep.
This energy is focused on achievement and power and bridging the gap between the spiritual and material world. So it's kind of like the 8. So we've done the spiritual work in the 7, and then we tap it back into the material world. And once you set your mind to something, nothing will stand in your way this year. It's a rising power, and it's a great time to execute your goals and tend to your financial matters. Sometimes, this is a great year to like for career and growth and business and making money. On the flip side of that too, Rach, if you probably haven't done the work you need to do in the year number 7, then you might find yourself having some financial, some unconsidered bills and things like that come in. And on the flip side of that, there could be some windfalls as well. So maybe some inheritance or something that you weren't expecting, some money coming in that way. So it's a really good year to make sure that you implement good money habits. And this year will be tested by situations that force you to develop personal power, and how you exert your personal power. But you may be also learning to scale your power back. If your way of controlling things is to be sort of a bit of an authoritarian, then there might be some lessons about how you work in a more strength-based way with that power.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the year we've been talking about, the year number 9, which is the end of the current version of self. So we really should have started at 9.
So I just want to ask a quick question. Was it 2015 was the last time we were in a year number 8? Was that correct?
5, 6, 7, yes.
So if we just out of, just so that for shits and gigs, everyone, if you can recall your 2015, that was a year number 8. So therefore, whatever, you can sort of look back and have a look at what happened. So we can reflect on that year as a year number 8, even though we were in a different personal year number, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And just see how that turned out for you. So I just thought it was a great way of just seeing, if you can remember what happened, because I know I had Charlotte. I actually gave birth again.
9 years ago.
Yeah, well, in my year number 8, yeah, I had her. So I gave up my job to go on maternity leave, and I never went back. So I had.
Can I just call you up there, Rach? So that was a collective year number 8, but you were actually in the personal year number 1.
That's right.
So, and I love that you bring up that point, because if you want to know what this energy plays out for you, take it back 9 years to 2015. If you're in year number 7 like myself, what were you doing? How can you can look at all the different the correlations, like you should be up level from then,
That's right.
but you
But
can
you can
see
see how the energy has played out for you. Yeah.
like that was a new version of Rach started 9 years ago when you had Charlotte, and then you're like, okay, well now I have to. I'm not going back to work. I'm doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, sorry to interrupt, but year number 9.
No, I think that's great. So whatever year you're in, go back 9 years, and that will show you how the cycle played out for you then. So the end of the current, so the year number 9 is the end of the current version of yourself, the year of completion and reflection. It's a metamorphic death, a metamorphosis. So it's like the death card. It's like you have to, like, whatever is not serving you, you have to, whatever you haven't done in that 9-year cycle, you're going to go through it in this year. So a lot of people find themselves, it can be quite a difficult year. I find my last year, number 9, I think I cried a lot of days of the week. It was a lot of letting go and a lot of processing, and being a 4, I didn't want to let anything go. So the universe shook me up a little bit harder to make sure that I got the lesson. Whereas Rach, like, I wouldn't say your year number 9 was easy, but with your beautiful energy of just like, you are a bit of a surrender and let go, and you knew you lived so consciously, you knew what you were going through. So
I did all the healing around leaving my ex-husband, which I hadn't had an opportunity to, which was like, over a decade ago. But because of the circumstances, it was just, what next day, the next day, the next day. So you don't actually get to process your feelings and emotions and anything in that time. You just have to move forward. So I got to last year, and the universe brought me, a candle to create and to process and for me to go through all of that. So that was my way of dealing. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but actually healing that whole thing. And then I also found out in the December prior to last year that I had a sister that I didn't know about. So for me, I had to then process all those emotions, all of last year, and work out, how that relationship was going to look. And yeah.
Can I ask you, Rach, before, because I know it came up quite suddenly for you, had you thought you had processed all your stuff about your marriage before it came up? Because it kind of hit you as a bit of a shock, like, oh my gosh, I'm processing this now.
I didn't process the toxicity of the relationship. The relationship in itself was gone, but I didn't process how I was treated and how that left me quite broken, I suppose, or how the circumstances, made me feel, or any of that. So, in that respect, none of that had been processed.
Yeah. And, that's a beautiful example. And I even think, that's where those deep unconscious things will pop up in the year number 9. And that's how it works. So, but, they have to, like, we can't leave those weeds under the dirt, because they're just going to fester, and they're holding us back from this beautiful new version that would become in the year number 1. So
for sure.
So it's letting go of the version of yourself, to make way for the new. Reflect and take stock on what do you need to release that no longer serves you. You may feel vulnerable and exposed, and all you have to do is surrender. And I was listening to a podcast, they were talking about this yesterday, and one of the lady that hosts it, her friend was on a 9, and she's like, oh, in year number 9, and she was talking about how she was crying most days of the week. I'm like, yep, that's the year. But it's just the process. And when we know what we're going through, and this is the energy, when we know, oh my gosh, this is the release, so we can really step into our power in the year number 9, or the year number 7, where you're like, I just don't feel like, okay, well, that I'm tuned into the energy that I'm in, and I just need to ride with this energy and know that, next year is going to be my year where I'm out and going, and this is important that I take the time to reflect this year.
Exactly. And not only that, it's like, what can, if you feel like you keep hitting your head up against a brick wall and you can't get momentum on something, and go, okay, how can I empower myself in a non, you know, in those reflective things like the study or the the preparation, the foundation laying, and all of that, so that the year where you have that flow of energy and you can move forward, you've got everything ready to go. So when we know that about things, then we can sort of, you know, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but for me, last year was really a big year of doing the emotional work and healing, and there was really no foundational stuff. Like, I feel that's how I feel moving into this year. But I already knew at the end of last year that I wanted this year to look different. I wanted how I did business to look different, and take the things that worked, but get rid of the things that didn't, and make it better. So I already know I want it to look different, and I've started to do it differently as well. So
yeah, I love that, Rach. And just one other little point before we go. This energy, it doesn't get to the 1st of January and all of a sudden Rach switches from a 9-year to a 1-year, or I go from a 6 to a. Around September, we start the energy shifts. So you will start to feel like you're feeling the energy of the next month. So there's like this 3 months transitional period. So for me, it wasn't until you pointed it out to me the other day, you're like, oh, okay, so you're in year number 7. So that's probably why the last few months you've been a bit more retreaty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is. There it is. So yeah, anyway, so that's the personal year. It's so empowering when we work with these energies. I hope you get as much out of it as we both do. And if you have any questions, please shoot us a DM and we can help you out.
definitely, and leave comments below if you have any questions. We will definitely come back and answer them, but also we'll leave links to our social media as well, so that if you want to message us that way, we're happy to do that as well. All right, well, thanks for joining in, and see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.